aliens and they're living in your town.
Damn.
They have arrived. What? They're all around. So many aliens living in your town. Are you scared of aliens? Well,
Hello, weirdos out there in Weirdo Land. Holy crud balls, we are back. The whole band is together. We've got a sweet Dennys. We've got a Vickie. We've got a fine-ass Beckett.
Oh, wow.
And we've got a Joe Ponton, new show member, Joe Ponton, a man on the streets. We're back, baby.
He's out there doing the work.
We're back, baby. And thank you all to tuning in to the Weird Whatever podcast. I am your host, Jason Pennington. We're going to get right into it. Vickie, ghost galore here on my street, and it's just not my house.
Oh, really?
Now, my dad came in to town from Texas about a month ago. Stayed with me for about 3 weeks. Major activity going over here. Shadow people galore. Tall man, the tall, dark, shadowy figure in the lobby area, constantly walking across to the bathroom area. Same kind of a thing. But here's the new wrinkle, if you shall, to the whole equation. My next door neighbors are now experiencing the same shit. Shadow people in their house, to the point where motherfuckers are reaching out to me about their problems because they heard me talking about it on the radio, and they go, Bird, I'm right next door and it's happening to me. My question to you, Vickie, can shadow people be contagious on a house level?
Well, I would say it's connected to the land if it's going on in more than one house in this neighborhood. Are they open to an actual investigation?
I think they're open to everything. And just so you know the history a little bit, one of the people in the house have had major experiences as a child. We're talking big time ghost experience with shadow people. And now, as an adult, it's coming back. It's like a thing from the past, thought it was gone, heard me talking about it and goes, holy shit, I'm going through it recently.
Right.
During the same time as I. Now, is that a land thing? Is that just two people that know how to connect to shadow people?
Well, I have a theory about shadow people. They first appear in your childhood and then they check on you periodically throughout your life. So it could be that you're both part of the shadow people, connection, and more than one is come back later in life to check on both of you.
One day we'll find it, the shadow people connection.
Is there a fact that there's both of them kind of amplify the attraction?
It could be. I mean, there's a theory that shadow people actually travel in groups. So it could be that if one particular shadow person was assigned to you in childhood, a different one was assigned, and you guys are close together, they just come in a crowd and they start checking everything out again.
In human terms, they start texting each other, yo, dog, I got a person that's all up with the shadow people. Oh, really? Are they local? I'll be over.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like that?
Probably more like, listen, I'm going to go check on Jay Bird again. Hey, his next door neighbor, isn't that your guy? Oh, yeah, cool. Let's go.
That's crazy.
It's
Yeah.
equivalent of the what you do text.
So, okay, I don't want to, because I'm Italian and guilt runs really deep in our genes. I don't have to feel guilty that I infested them with shadow people. You think it's a mere coincidence that they're having the same issues that I'm having?
If he had experience as a male,
You know what? To protect if
they had experiences in childhood, if you did not know them, then you absolutely 100% are not responsible.
Because the way I look at it, Dennys, is, okay, if you have a person you live next to and they have a rat problem and they don't take out their trash and there's fucking rats everywhere, and now you have rats in your house and you never had rats until these new neighbors come in there with all their bullshit and trash. You see what I'm saying?
Right. It would be different if you were in your yard having ceremonies to summon up demons and spirits and everything else. Yeah, in that case, you would be infesting your neighborhood.
And I'm not doing that. I know people think I'm doing that, but I'm not.
Right. But especially since there's a childhood connection, you're not responsible.
All right. Well, I think right there, we need to just lead into Ask Vickie, because you got the hot hand. Dear Weird and Whatever, hey weirdos, and we might have touched upon this before, and it's sort of about the same kind of thing, yards, houses. My wife and I feel like our front and backyard are haunted, but not our house. Do you guys ever hear about only yards being possessed or haunted? I want to conjure up, oh, sorry, that's a different story, but yeah, yards, just the yard part Is that a thing? Have you ever seen that in your investigation?
Yeah, especially if you're dealing with a nature spirit or an elemental or whatever you want to call it. They tend to stay out of the house. They tend to stay out in nature where they come from. It could also be if there was a spirit that was attached to the land prior to them building the house. They're going to stick to the way the land was before without the house and not go actually inside. So there's a couple of reasons why it could be happening.
Okay, kids, it's time for our ghost quiz. What does elemental spirit mean, Beckett?
Elemental?
I don't know, whatever the fuck Vickie said.
It means the beginning. It's like,
All right.
Well, they've been around since the beginning of time, so I'll give you partial credit.
there you go. Thank you.
What was
And
it?
I refer to nature spirits. I call them elementals. Throughout history, they may have been referred to as gnomes or fairies or any kind of creature like that who were pretty mainstream back in the day. People absolutely believed in them. And then we started turning away from them. And when we turned away from them, they got really pissed off. And that's when they became mischievous and started causing problems sometimes.
Dennys, we're hearing tales of gnomes, elementals, being mischievous, thoughts, ideas.
Well, it was very big in Celtic folklore, the fairies and boggarts and things of that such, because I think they had landscapes that adhered to that, and then they had the mountain ranges. They'd have the earth elementals, the water elementals.
I mean, if there was ever time to bust out a wonder joint,
Oh,
it
geez.
really would be now.
Talking elementals.
I mean, we're talking about, fucking
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Lord of the Rings shit, Middle Earth.
mean-
Is that what we're talking about here?
Friday lights.
But just so you know, I did update my equipment. So I do have wireless cameras that I can watch remotely.
Ooh.
So we can set up the cameras and I can watch from the comfort of my couch.
Very big brother.
I'm down to do another. Look, I would say we had 75% positivity on our last investigation. 25%. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, we didn't see a demon. We're disappointed, you fakers. It's always going to be about that. I thought it was a great investigation. I do think there's more to uncover here. That was one out of 1. We can get better stuff. I know shit's going on here. I can't speak for my neighbors, but I can speak for here.
Sorry to interrupt. As a resident skeptic, it actually makes it more credible, right? Like
Yeah.
we're not trying to, walk by in a sheet and try to, do anything. Like sometimes if you're being honest and authentic, sometimes you don't get anything.
100 billion%. And I like when people call us out. I may not in the moment, but it's the right thing to do. You have to call out anybody on a microphone. Anybody on a microphone, you got to be suspect of. I'm not saying anybody with a microphone's all bad. You just got to, it's like dating. You got to make sure these motherfuckers ain't got bodies in their ass.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think to your point, a lot of people tend to hold those kind of people on a pedestal, right?
And we shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
No.
You should be skeptical of everything.
Absolutely.
Even Tom Hanks, dog.
Even Tom Hanks.
There's talk that he's a lizard person.
It'd be Geppetto.
We do have, you're right, he's playing Geppetto.
Yes.
Am I the only one that thinks the story of Pinocchio is creepy as fuck?
Well, so here, run me through it. Is it that Pinocchio, he tries to find Geppetto. Geppetto goes to Pleasure Island and then gets lost off course. Then Pinocchio goes to Pleasure Island. Why is Pinocchio going to Pleasure Island? What's up with that?
First of all, let's go ahead and talk about the term Pleasure Island.
I don't like that either in a kid's movie.
In my circle of friends, we're talking that Pleasure Island is hand jobs on the reg with drinking and smoking on an island.
That's why Geppetto's going there.
Of course.
And then he gets caught by a whale.
Geppetto is trying to get his whale tugged. That's what he's doing.
Well, absolutely. And it gets all effed up. And then Pinocchio goes to find him all innocently. And then I think he goes to Pleasure Island and they're all crazy. I think they try to sell him. And then he escapes and he gets caught by the same whale.
And that's taking out the element of wooden boy doll, which is fucked up.
That's all side story. I think the wooden boy doll part is the Hans Christian, the original story writers, kind of like the Grimm brothers.
You've lost not only the room but the audience. There.
Yeah, I hear you. Damn, nobody knows. It's like the people that wrote all the original fairy tales.
You'll get some fucker that defends you. They'll send a 9-page email about how Geppetto is awesome.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but I remember that being the premise, and I thought that was such an odd premise for a kid's movie.
I'm just saying, wooden boy doll, I don't know. In my circle, again, pretty fucked up.
No, it's fair. But back then, when Pinocchio started, I I think that's how most toys were. And I just rewatched an old 80s commercial for My Buddy. Remember
My Buddy,
My Buddy.
my
me.
buddy, my buddy, my buddy and me, kid sister.
Kid Sister. They did a Kid Sister.
Yes, they did.
Kid sister.
Dude, we've seen that commercial.
It's the updated one. It's almost like you look back. It was normal when you were a kid. You look back on it, you're like, that's some Chucky weird stuff.
If you ever notice me in a bad mood, just break into an old 80s jingle, whether it's a theme song or a commercial. I'll be right back. I'll be in a good mood again. The fact you brought up My Buddy, it led to Kid Sister. I'm tickled pink.
There was an art form to commercials back in the day. Now they're just insane and so random. But commercials, when they were done well, people actually liked commercials back in the day, at least portions of them.
Yeah, I used to have Teddy Ruxpin. You guys remember Teddy Ruxpin?
Fuck
Yeah.
Teddy Ruxpin.
You don't like Teddy Ruxpin?
His
You're a
one
guy-
eye would break.
A
and then he'd be
walking
crazy.
Bear Beckett? Fuck no.
That guy was a G. And it was, you had educational tapes. It was great. Talk and Play. Not to go into an 80s thing. Talk
Yeah.
and Play was great too.
I remember all that.
But yeah, Wooden Pinocchio's weird.
Remember Crossfire? Crossfire. Don't you want to go in Crossfire?
Question 2 for Ask Vickie.
How did we get so off topic?
That's what this podcast is about. It's all about tangents, and that's why I love it. Okay, Ask Vickie. I want to conjure up my dead grandpa who was murdered and talk to him. How do I do that, and how would I even begin that process?
You don't conjure up someone. If you want to speak to someone, if you don't have the ability yourself, then you find someone reputable and talk through a medium. You don't conjure up. The only thing you can conjure, what you will conjure, is you will conjure up a negative spirit that's looking for an opportunity to come in, get an invitation, and start, wreaking havoc.
If you wanted to talk to, for example, if I wanted to go into my sleep tonight and I really wanted to talk to my mom or an Aunt Ann or had a chewy moment,
Right.
are there things I can do on the front end to where I'm able to go in there consciously with a purpose,
Right.
going to bed with saying, I want to talk to somebody without breaking the rules?
That's exactly what you do. You say, listen, I really need to talk to you. I would love for you to do a visitation tonight in my dreams. And you talk specifically to whoever it is that you want to show up. And you go to bed with the notion, I would really appreciate if you could visit me tonight.
That's interesting.
And I've heard
That's what they say. I've heard.
I play around with that too. Like whatever I'm looking at, like if I'm scrolling something on Instagram, that's what I dream about.
Oh, we know you're dreaming about buttholes and titties back in. We know what you're
You
into.
use it for good and bad.
But what I've heard, Vickie, is if you do have a dream where you feel it was profound and it was a loved one that you wanted to talk to make that a reoccurring kind of an experience, after you wake up, you just go, hey, Mom, or hey, Dad, or whatever whoever you're talking to, I really enjoyed you visiting me. I would love it if you did that again. From the heart, you speak that
Right.
out, and that's supposed to help with that?
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to come every single night in a dream because they have other things to do. But definitely ask for it beforehand. When you have it, thank them and say, you're more than welcome to, come again. My personal theory, when you have a dream about a loved one, I would say about 85 to 90% of the time, that's an actual visitation.
Are you talking about people who have passed? Dead?
Yes.
Okay. If I have a dream about my uncle still alive and he's
No.
trying to stab me, fuck that guy.
And you
right?
wake up and it's not a dream.
Yeah. I don't like all my uncles back here. Ask Vickie, if animals can be spirits, could extinct animals still be ghosts as well? For example, like a dinosaur. And then on top of that, could cave people have a spirit? And if not, why? Does it make sense if they don't?
As far as animals, I can only speak for what I've been shown. And the animals that stick around are ones who have an attachment to an owner. Like, I don't very often walk down the street and see a stray dog ghost. It could be that I'm not tuned into it. It could be that's just not my thing. And I would say if you're talking about an extinct animal, if they didn't have an owner that they were attached to, there's really not much reason for them to still be here.
Okay, well, let me bring up Bobo, that lion or tiger. I think lion, tiger, maybe some
Bears, oh my.
There was a local animal, had an owner. Bobo was his name, and
The owner or the animal?
the animal.
like
Bobo
old
was
McDonald.
Bobo was his name. Roaring was his game. But long story short, Bobo got out and Bobo got killed. The owner was distraught. Could Bobo's spirit roam? And why could Bobo's spirit roam and not a dinosaur? How do you know something didn't have an attachment to a dinosaur? That I guess my point is a lot of times, and I'm playing more of the naysayer over here, it's odd the things that we give spiritual credit to. Dogs, cats, our pets, they get to go to the afterlife, but fuck the dinosaurs. Fuck them fish. Oh, the roaches, they're gross. They don't deserve a spirit. It's odd, and it almost kind of reeks of we're humans and we decide what the fuck is spiritual and what's not. And I personally think we don't know.
But that's different in what you asked me. You asked me, could it be roaming here? You didn't say anything about being in the afterlife.
Well, that's I guess
So-
what I mean is anything that died here on planet Earth. Could it
Anything-
be spiritual here?
Could it
earthbound?
be? Yes. I feel like they're more likely to stick around if they had an attachment to a living person. That doesn't mean that there's not dinosaurs on the other side. That doesn't mean that they don't have a soul. It's just that I have come across animals who were beloved pets who are still roaming around attached to their owner, and then when their owner passes on, a lot of times they will move on as well.
So the animals go to a different place than humans?
I don't know. I've never been shown, when I've been shown the other side with people, I've never seen the animals over there per se. I usually only see animals in connection to here and people who have animals that had living owners still around.
Do you think that's because you're in tune with reading human spirits and maybe the animal's not even real? It's just kind of their memory of the animal, and that's why it doesn't necessarily.
Or it could be that there's no way for me to validate. There's no way for me to validate that I just went down 95 and there was a ghost dinosaur traveling beside me.
Stegosaurus.
Whereas where I can say, I could say to somebody, hey, listen, you have a dog and it has like this major underbite. It's got these, teeth that are sticking out like this and blah, blah, blah. The owner can verify that that was their animal. I don't do a lot of things that can't be verified because I don't make up stuff. So if I can't say, your grandmother, she wore a watch like this and she wore this type of earring, and the person say, okay, that's her. I need that validation in order for it to have meaning.
So to Denny's point, for example, me and Dennys are both in radio. We also work with people who are in radio, and we're all under the umbrella of radio, but I may not know the promotion world. I may not know the advertising world, but we're still in that. We're still we're still in that world, but it's not our specialty. We're still in it. So is it possible animals isn't your specialty?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
I only see them in relation to owners. Like I said, I just passed a dinosaur on the way here, but there's no one to validate that they had a pet dinosaur for me.
How fucking boss would it be if there were dinosaur ghosts?
That would be so horrifying. Right?
Is that one of the most horrifying things? A T-Rex spirit?
God, or a velociraptor?
It's like a mix of Poltergeist and Jurassic Park.
It'd be the worst combination.
Okay.
A pissed off T-Rex spirit?
Oh,
What
you'd be
the
done.
shit, man? Shit that.
Any of them, yeah.
The way I got my brain around it for psychic abilities when we talk about Jason and Vickie is I think about it like a FM radio dial, right? And I don't have any of those frequencies, right?
Gotcha.
Vickie has a little bit of she has a wide range of frequencies. You have a frequencies, but a little bit smaller of a range.
Sure.
So that's my one thing is that maybe Vickie just doesn't have that on the dial.
Yeah.
In terms of perception, just like I have nothing.
Because I'm a big, and I
Yeah,
really,
probably got something in there.
the older I get, I really have a strong love and passion towards animals. Now, I'm not getting on my holy hill here. I'm just saying I think animals have a genius on their own set of fucking rules compared to humans. Yeah, they can't send emails, but they also do a lot of shit that we can't do either.
That's why they're better than us.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that makes them smarter.
Well, I find it odd that sometimes when people talk about afterlife and spiritual, it's always so ego-driven in the human sense. It's always
right.
about our feelings, our perspective. And I'm going, well, fuck, the bee doesn't get a fucking say in any of this?
Yeah.
Just because it's smaller and we don't get its genius?
Yep.
I don't know.
I think another reason I don't see animals randomly is because I'm so animal sensitive. My daughter works at the animal shelter in Greater Miami, and there's a new rule. If there's something tragic, do not, under any circumstances, tell me that story because I can't handle it.
Yeah.
So if I walked down the street and I saw all these poor animals that
It'd
had
be rough.
passed, I couldn't handle it. So I am given, thank goodness, I'm given what I can handle.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And maybe that's just not what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I make fun of a lot of pet psychics out there. I do.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I make fun of pet psychics, Vickie, is because we don't. There's
can't
no
validate
There's no,
it.
we can't
Yeah.
validate it.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't do
Yeah, I
stuff
get
like
it.
that very
I
often.
totally get it.
My only other theory is if you take a page out of Buddhism and the mandala, is that souls jump species, right? Depending on where you go down. Like if you live a bad life, you go down to
Absolutely.
the grasshopper, to the ant, and if you live a good life, you go up, right? So it's potentially the case that when you see something in the afterlife, it's the embodiment of the human. But that was Chewy, those were my dogs. Like that was like a human soul, right? In certain ways, right? We're just seeing the embodiment of them in
Yes.
I'd like to go to the chat room really quick because they always have some good takes on stuff. Jill Gray in the chat room says, everyone has psychic abilities, but not everyone knows how to access them. I do believe that. I think there's a spectrum, like anything. You can jump higher than me, and I can jump higher than them, or whatever. I think there is a spectrum. I also think there's a way to zone in on shit. I think if you become passionate about anything and really do the research and get involved in it, you're going to get better whatever field you're involved in. If you want to work on psychic abilities, I'm not saying you're going to be the best, but you may be a little bit more in tune, no?
I was passionate about being a paranormal investigator, and when I started, I had no abilities that I was aware of. But immersing myself in the spirit world, I didn't even try. It just happened organically because of my enthusiasm, because of why I was trying to communicate and trying to help them, and then the gifts opened up.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. So you are an investigator first, and that's how you discovered you wanted to be a psychic medium, and that was your calling.
Not that I wanted to be. That's just what organically happened.
That's
yeah.
what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of happened.
And it
to
happened
you.
in stages. And every time I turned around, there was another stage. Something else happened. And I was like, okay, that was cool. That was random. And then it would happen again. I'm like, okay, it's not random. This is what I'm supposed to do. And it just progressed.
I got a great round back of Ask Vickie. I mean, educational. It was sexy.
Va 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 voom.
To go ahead and kind of piggyback on that, there's an author named Melanie Jade Rummel, and she wrote an article. Do we agree with this? It's 4 ways your loved ones in spirit are trying to contact you.
All right.
So tell me if you agree, Vickie, as our expert. Number 1, visitation in dreams. They say it's common to wake up after you received a message from your loved ones. So if you suddenly wake up in the middle of the night, try to remember what you were dreaming about. To make it easier for your loved ones to visit you in dreams, start paying attention to your dreams and then writing them down. I don't know what it is about dreams. They are so fleeting. It could be horrific with all details. In 10 seconds, they're gone.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like sand through your fingertips.
You got to write it down.
Right, Dennys. That's
She's like, I can't keep the memory.
poetic over here.
I dreamed about you guys last night.
Oh,
Whoa!
I should have known that we were going to end up, doing the show tonight or something.
She had
But
a premonition.
Oh,
What,
look at that.
we were doing some kind of promotional thing. It was like some kind of amusement park or something. And I excused myself to go use the restroom. When I came out, y'all had scattered and left me.
Oh, damn.
Oh, my God.
And then the dream fast forwards, and Jaybird, you had a house, and you were trying to convince me that I needed to buy this house from you. That you were going to give me a good price, and that you knew
Always
that there was
hustling.
renovations I needed to do.
Let's
and I kept
fucking
telling
talk.
you,
Let's bring it to the table.
I kept telling you, this is way too far from my work. I cannot buy this house.
So what is that about?
I don't know.
I love dream analysis. I really do.
because
I have some fucked up dreams. They gotta mean something. But I think also sometimes it's just a dream and it's weird too.
Yeah,
It's trying to know the difference between a profound dream and horse shit.
right.
Is
This was a horseshit one.
This is a horseshit.
Well, I think sometimes your brain turns it on to the news or a documentary, and sometimes it turns it on to Seinfeld.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure.
Depending on your day, probably decompress.
Sometimes Skinamax. It just depends what kind of mood you're in when you go to bed, right?
I
I
love
always know what mood he's in.
I love talking to people who are roughly around my age.
'Cause they rep-
Skinamax. I mean, I get the reference. I've been there. Been to the puppet show, seen the strings. I get it. 4 ways your loved ones in spirit are trying to contact you. First one, visitation and dreams. Second one, electrical phenomena. No?
No, that's not exclusive to people who are relatives that are coming in visitation.
But you're not trying to tell me if my mom or Aunt Ann or Chewy tried to visit me, they couldn't get in my electrical shit?
they could, but so could any other random spirit.
But I think what they're saying is this is almost, it's not saying it's all 4, it could be.
Okay, could be.
Could a
anything,
loved
yeah.
one do that?
Could, yeah, in
All right,
theory.
I like it.
could.
Fuck this
It's
list.
not typical.
Fuck this list, Vickie.
Yeah, piece of shit list.
Who wrote this? Melanie Jade Rummel? Fuck Melanie.
Bullshit.com.
I'm an emailer. Okay, Vicky does not like your list. The third, signs. Signs, kind of like I've talked to you about before, where I've been thinking about my mom, talking about my mom, then all of a sudden this random ass song comes on that's never come on in 13 years.
I mean, it's impossible to believe that they could actually manipulate a radio station in order for that song to come on, but it's a nice thought.
That's the way I look at all this. Yeah, is it coincidence? There's a good chance it
a
could
nice
be.
thought.
Can you let me have my fucking moment?
Yeah.
There you go. To me, that makes the most sense because, even sharks can sense electrical impulses like in the water, right? Like it's a sixth sense they literally have. So if spirits could speak to us, and if it's not clear in a frustrating way, it makes sense to me that they're trying to manipulate the electrical impulses. And, and that kind of goes back to the FM analogy, right?
Well, I do
The
believe
radio.
that there's stuff that's gone down here. I mean, it always comes back to electricity. We didn't know it existed. It was always there if you harnessed it. I do think there's something to ghost, spirit. We as humans haven't figured it out how to. Maybe there's something to do with water and something electron. I don't
I'm
know.
sure we're affected by all elements.
Exactly, Dennys. Exactly. And that we haven't tapped into it yet.
Oh, yeah, there's probably... broadband Wi-Fi, which we use, constantly now. What it is, the antenna powerful enough just to tap into frequencies that already exist. There's stronger frequencies that allow information. As you go down lower, you hit FM, then lower you hit AM, just because they're shittier signals as you go down. We only originally had the technology to access the lower waves initially. So I'm sure there's even further bands out there.
Now, I
or
know
even using solar power even more efficiently.
you're a resident. You have 2 resident skeptics, although I feel like Dennys has become more of a skeptic than Becky. I think we got Becky.
since ayahuasca.
We got it. So you kind of, I get the feeling talking with you, you don't believe in spirits or ghosts. I'm not saying that you're like, fuck ghosts, fuck spirits, but you don't, it's not in your, you don't believe it.
But spirits to me, I don't know. Maybe it seems almost so humified. Like it's such a concept that we would come up with. I bet you it's something different or grander. It's just maybe just a personal thought.
But then you talk about all these other things, the technology technology rant you just went on.
Frequencies, vibrations, those all seem to be pretty universal. I mean, everything revolves around vibrations, really. It's weird. So, that has to be a core concept, whether that's an afterlife concept or just a scientific concept. I don't know. But
Are you open to the theory
I'm open to all theories. I'm definitely not resistant.
that it could, let's say a non-believer like you, we have a lot of people who don't believe in any of this shit. They like hearing, having some laughs with us, having some drinks,
the banter.
and I love those people just as much as I love the believers. We need everybody in this equation. And I would say, are as a non-believer, but are you completely against the idea of kind of like electricity, how we didn't know about it, but it was there, that maybe spirit is there and we just quite haven't harnessed it yet?
Yeah, I think I would be more categorized in the fact that I don't necessarily know the answer. I'm not so hell-bent on discovering the answer as some.
Not a searcher, you say?
Yeah, maybe not so much in that sense. I'm more of I guess you could say, if I had to relate to anything mainly, maybe Hinduists or even probably just Taoism.
Taoism
mainly.
is where you kind of don't. You really
You
kind of
accept that
subscribe to.
there's
You
no
don't know the
Yeah,
answer.
exactly. I mean, really, you can search for the answer, but you won't really get that. I mean, maybe ever.
Taoism
That's a
Taoism
possibility.
spoke to me going into a little bit. The only thing about Taoism I don't like is it doesn't necessarily give you that happy ending humans want.
Well, so I don't know. Again, I think another human concept is happy endings.
You're right.
I mean, har har. But technically, I mean, it just sucks that term has.
Hey, does this
changed
guy know how to
so-
party or what?
That's
But that's a
great.
humanized concept that you're going to hit some grand goal at some point
well,
in your life. and
that
you're gonna
was my
And
point.
you're going to have confetti and all that fun stuff.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
we're-
you're right. Go on.
We're
go
on the hot topic.
No,
I
go
get
on.
it.
I
But
sometimes get passionate.
It's
I
a very
train wreck.
human concept. I mean, movies, they have finality. We crave that. In fact, I mean, even recent years, I think some movies have gotten just very happy. It's very formulated with the happy ending, you know? Because we expect that. But really, there isn't that. It's mainly, I'd say, a combination of a ton of ebbs and flows throughout your life. And you really just try to balance at the end if it was an even amount of ebbs as it was flows.
Well, I remember talking with you before, and you had said something that I really agree with. Some people on the planet are more likely just to be searchers. You're not really a searcher. I'm not saying you're not searching for any kind of truth, because I think we all are.
Well, for sure.
But you're not looking for why X, Y, and Z is.
Exactly.
you're not looking for that answer, because more of a Taoism thing is, I don't know. I'm not going to get the answer. I'm going to do the best I can in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of more of a. I mean, we joke about it all the time, but some weeks are rougher at work, and some weeks are smoother.
Yeah,
so I mean,
ain't
some
no
weeks
fucking truth.
you're trying to get through it, right?
Amen.
Eh.
Well, he's drinking a bottle of rosé from the bottle. He's looking for something.
yeah. I use
Well-
my wife's empty wine glasses.
The
to
reason
drink
why I'm
Kool-Aid.
really putting you on the stand about this topic, it comes back to what I was talking with Vickie. I do feel like I am a searcher. I want answers, but I also don't want to be blinded to just my own belief and not thinking of the non-believer's perspective. And that's why I ask you about the animal stuff. Is it possible that nobody knows? And that's why I bring it up.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
There's a chance. I think no human knows, personally. That's why I think nothing's 100%.
I could sit here and I could give you the best argument of a certain belief system. I could spend 30 minutes on it, and when I'm done, I'm gonna say, but there's some people that believe this instead.
Yes.
Because you have to, especially with the paranormal, nothing's written in stone. No one has really, truly proven anything.
Yeah. Although
So-
our video or that video
I know,
that
I
goes
know.
brings my fucking blanket.
But again, the skeptic's going to say that, we faked it.
Oh, I haven't heard from any of those
Faked it,
dicks.
shadow.
What's the difference between Taoism and agnostic?
Well, so Taoism is more of a philosophy, I'd say, than anything. It really just is accepting. It's everything's spoken in riddle, more or less.
Yeah.
It's yin and yang.
And I would think Taoism, they have a very connection with nature, big into nature. I know a lot of people who are into Taoism, and nature's a big part of their being.
I'm gonna check it out.
Which
Yeah.
is good. Well, it's good because it just. I mean, there's comfort to take in that you don't have to have, that you're not going to get the answer sometimes.
Yeah, one of the examples I heard was somebody. There was a couple. They were Taoists, and their daughter was murdered by some random dude. Obviously, it wrecked their life, but because of their belief, they had to go. There's nothing we can do, but we don't have the answers to it. We want to honor her life, the years she was here, and they weren't so caught up on the why and if she's this or that. They just said it is what it is. We don't understand why it is, and we're not going to probably get the answers, and that's how they are at peace with it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it does.
And it's not for everybody, because the human brain wants to be right, and they want their answer, and they want they want the ending to be the ending that they want. And for example, their situation, their ending was not the ending they wanted, and not all of us get that ending. And it's a tough situation to go through, I think, as a human, when you get an ending like that and you can't change it, and you struggle with that, not being able to change it.
Well, it's like your favorite TV show ending on a cliffhanger, right? It's a closed feedback loop, right? And it's apples and oranges. But if you don't have that, like, it's like if there was a tragic murder, but it was cold case.
Yeah.
What I understand to be true and what makes sense is that's way harder for the families to cope with.
Oh my god.
They have no answers.
Yeah, the the unknown. I mean, it's one of the deepest
No
fears.
answers.
Some of the comments in here, we have a Heidi. I agree. I like that Dennys is skeptical. I like people to be skeptical. You have to be skeptical. Even alien shit that I really personally believe. When people talk to me about aliens, they go, "There's no way fucking aliens exist." Blah blah blah. In my head, I go, "You are dumb," but I do respect it.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't agree with it, but I respect it.
That's such a blatant stance, though. You know.
How the fuck do they know?
That's,
How
what
the
I'm
fuck
saying.
do I-
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know either.
How can you double down so hard on something without any evidence whatsoever?
That's why I like the agnostic point of view, because like just like I don't know, you don't know. You know, so it's like saying like the world or the sun circles around the earth, right? Or the earth is flat. That was, as far as society as I understood it in Europe, that was settled.
for a long time.
That was settled. Like Galileo got persecuted for this whole idea that the world, the globe basically circled the sun.
I don't want to speak for the whole podcast, but I think we all have a problem with flat earthers.
For sure.
And you know what? You wouldn't be a good paranormal investigator if you weren't skeptical.
Yeah.
Because you go in, there are times when mental illness is the issue, not a ghost. There are times when drug abuse is the answer. It's not a spirit. And you have to be able to go in and find the answers. And yeah, you may want to find the Holy Grail, but you're probably not. And you need to be open-minded and find real answers.
I'm glad you brought up the mental illness thing, because that is, other than animals dying and whether they go to the afterlife and where do they go, mental illness is by far one of the most popular emails or topics that we get. And it is the main topic with mental illness is, how do I know if I'm dealing with somebody who's playing me, that's kind of a psychopath, or someone who's legit has mental illness? And a lot of the emails will be, my friend, my brother, my husband, my wife will do this. It's terrible behavior. They fuck me over. And then when I call them out and I'm devastated as a person, or our family's devastated as a person, they fall back on, but it's my mental illness. It's my mental illness. Now, I think we all struggle with mental problems, again, on a spectrum. It's part of being a human. Mm-hmm. But there's other people who have legit fucked up problems, and I'm sympathetic to that. But there is also people that have issues on an ego level, and they'll do anything to get ahead or cheat or make their outcome be the winner, and they're just dicks.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a difference between there's a difference between true mental illness and personality disorders.
Yeah, and we live in a time where we're all supposed to be sympathetic to everyone's problems, but if someone fucks you over, and they really fuck you over, and they fuck your life over, and they are not, somebody that you would deem as got legit mental illness to the point they don't know what's going on, you're going to be upset as a human. And how do you deal with that when they claim and fall back on, oh, Vickie, it's my mental illness. I was fat shamed as a child, and my dad, blah, blah, blah.
No, it's PTSD. Get therapy, number one. And number two, you're probably just a sociopathic narcissist. And that's your true problem, and that's a personality disorder.
And now,
not mental illness.
Are we dicks to that person? Because they're being dicks to everybody else. They're fucking up a lot of stuff.
Well, the thing is, if their behavior is affecting your life, yeah, you should absolutely call them out on it. And then remove yourself from the situation.
But I'm your brother, and I have mental
that means nothing.
illness. And
if someone stabs me, I don't care what's going on. I'm pissed.
Oh, yeah. It changes everything.
There's the quote of the podcast. I don't give a fuck what's going on in your life. If you stab me, I'm a little bitter.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's the new thing. Oh, I'm a cheater. But I'm a sex addict.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Fuck off.
Right?
Get out of here.
Did you hear that last night?
David Duchovny, I think, invented that.
It's the dumbest shit, and I'll get, again, a manifesto. Bird, you don't understand. You're right. I don't want to understand it. I don't want to understand your sex addict, whatever, because it's so funny how these sex addicts only fuck hot people. They're not fucking trees or a muffler. They're fucking just hot people.
Right.
To me, if you're an addict, you're huffing shit. You're fucking rocks.
Yeah. Have you ever experienced rock bottom?
Well, I just think I think
booty.
the reason why I have such an attitude towards social media, and I have a hate email directed to me. We'll read it. We'll get into it. I'm not a fan of people who don't take responsibility of their shitty behavior. Everybody on the planet has done something they're ashamed of, embarrassed about, humiliated over. You didn't handle it the right way. You are a cock. It's okay. It's part of the process. Just own it. Don't make excuses. And that's what I have a problem with.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry means nothing if you're not going to change your behavior.
I just don't like when people create shit and then they claim to be victim. It's the most annoying fucking thing. Can I get an amen on that?
Amen. That's
Yeah.
narcissistic though, because
Yeah.
the person that was hurt is the victim, right? And they're like, "Oh, but me." Right?
Yeah,
That's
it's rough. It's rough when it gets reinforced.
And the fourth thing, weighs your loved one in
That
spirit.
rough goes
Trying
with
to
these
contact.
lists tonight.
Okay, number 4.
Do not email me about how we go on tangents. That's what we do. It's not the podcast for you.
keeping it weird.
You might see someone who looks like your loved one out in public. Now, this is
See
what
their face in it.
Yeah, I really wanted to delve into this with you, Vickie. Let's say I'm walking down the street and I see my mom in a woman, and I have seen this. I've had my sister call me up, go, "Oh my God, I almost ran over Mom on the corner of Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard." Like, we've had these conversations before. Is that coincidence or is spirit playing a factor?
Well, I think Dennys could probably answer this because I think we talked about, like, genetically speaking, how many, like, variations we have. And so if you look in the ones where they have in history, you have these famous person and somebody back in 1850
Yeah.
looks exactly like Keanu Reeves. So does Dennys. And
Better looking dog.
No, I
so
don't know.
it probably is just that there's only so many faces that have been created, and you're going to see ones that are very, very close. It could also be a little bit of, wishful thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it's on your mind and it's forefront, it's like when you stub your toe and then you constantly are bumping into it all day.
Why is that?
It's because you notice it now. Otherwise, you constantly bump your toe anyway.
So
It
you
just
think
doesn't
I'm
hurt.
always stubbing my toe, but when I have a fucking gash in it,
Then it's, yeah.
all right, that's because those are the kind. That's a stand-up comedian. You ever notice when you cut your toe?
You're walking.
Exactly, but it is kind of weird. You're going with it's not at all anything other than you always bang your toe.
Well, I'm saying, so if I, pinch my finger in a door, right? The rest of the day in my normal life, when I don't pinch my finger in the door, I grab handles, I move laptop screens, I'm doing tons of shit, But my finger doesn't hurt. But when I bump my finger, then I notice that it hurts every time I touch something. Thus, it's on my mind way more because I'm constantly moving stuff. So
Makes
it's
sense.
forefront. So if you are missing a loved one or whatever, and you're walking through a group, I mean, you're probably more inclined to possibly see somebody who looks like them, or maybe they do something that reminds you of something they did.
Almost a self-fulfilling prophecy there.
Yeah.
You're kind of conjuring it up in your own mind and seeing what you want to see.
Yeah, exactly.
You talk about pinching your finger. Y'all, I was naked in my kitchen, and I'm not even kidding you. I have one of those kind of cupboards where like a harmonica, or not harmonica, accordion. It's got just little divots in there, and it can. I was an inch away, not even an inch. I was naked. I almost pinched my dick off.
Oh, wow.
I'm not even kidding you, man. It would have been hospital time.
So you're standing right next to it?
Okay.
Here, take your pants off and show us.
Is that a small dick joke? Damn, that's fucked up. I expect that from Virginia, baby.
Haven't seen you for a second back yet.
Yeah. I'm on the smaller side. Heart like a fucking lion, baby. Big dick people are overrated. They're all ego. No heart. And you're right, I was real close to it. I'm just saying, in the blink of an eye, your dick can be gone.
Oh,
That's the
easy.
moral of the story.
That's true.
Yeah.
That should be a T-shirt.
In the blink of an eye, your dick can be gone.
Let's call our street guy, Joe Ponton. Give it up for Joe Ponton. He's our newest member of the Weird Whatever podcast. Now, Joe is a guy who always has a story. I call him Big Fish. That movie, Big Fish, the fucker always had a story. He is a beach guy. He loves going to the beach, and he goes really, really early. Now, if you've ever been to the beach early, you know shit gets fucking weird. Mr. Ponton, welcome to the podcast.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. I know you've found a lot of fucked up shit on the beach and some cool shit. It's not always doom and gloom, Beckett.
No.
Sometimes you'll see a fucking baby turtle giving birth to another turtle.
Well, maybe not that one.
Hilarious.
That would be amazing, though. Baby turtles even babies? All right.
We've rescued probably about 150 baby turtles in the last 3 weeks. So it's pretty cool to go there and kind of, we've befriended a lot of people from the sanctuary. So we've called them and when nests are invaded by armadillos and raccoons, and we've literally scooped out babies that were, being pulled out of their shells, and then we take them to the sanctuary and they live. So
can we get this? Cool. Can we get this going? And I'm an animal lover, but what did you say that was a possum that was fucking them up?
Armadillos, raccoons.
All right, there we go. Hashtag fuck armadillos. That's what I want to get trending, because they should be eating no turtles. They ain't cool. Right, Beckett?
That is not cool at all.
Well, they've got to eat too, though,
Okay, so you know what? I'm a cannibal. Fuck these people. Let me eat them.
Well, they have other things to eat. Jesus, bird. No, we've the last few years has been pretty incredible for me.
All right, your top five.
Top five. We all know what my number one is, and I'll end with that one. We'll go five down. So recently, July 12th, I was actually watching probably 20 different turtles nesting. I found 2 messages in a bottle that you have right over there. That was around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, these messages, if you see them on the camera right now, they're 2 different notes. I read them. They're very depressing and very heavy, and out of respect for the people that wrote them, I'm not trying to blow that up. And they clearly want someone to call them, because there is numbers. They're 2 different notes from 2 different people, right. But I think they were from the same group. But clearly they are. They're the same bottle, same letters, and same pen.
Same paper.
Not the same paper, but not same penmanship. Yeah. But it was basically.
I'm definitely going to call them both and let them know that we found the letters. I kind of perused through one of them earlier, and they are heavy. They're about loss.
Yeah,
and we all experience that.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
But that was a really cool night. Seeing that many turtles, I was literally watching them come up, and they were surrounded at one point. I couldn't move because they were like 5 within 20 yards of me. That's pretty awesome to see. And then watching them nest, it takes a couple of hours. Watching the eggs drop, stuff like that's really awesome.
So you're going 5 with the letters? Is that what
5 was the letters in that night.
4?
Number 4 was. I was actually probably about 2 months ago. I was there around midnight. There was a storm starting to come in, and if you're ever there at night, or if you're ever really there, you kind of see the horizon goes flat, the water goes peaceful still as the storm comes in. Well, there was a guy who looked like he got shot in the back coming out of the water. He was literally face down into the sand. He was kind of like the outline tape.
Yeah.
He was perfect outline tape, and I go, oh man, body number 5. Here we go. So I go and I shake this dude and I go, hey, are you okay? He comes through. He was on a lot of whatever it was, but
drugs, Beckett.
His entire face was in the
drugs.
sand like this deep. So he couldn't have been there that long. Obviously, he would have suffocated.
This is what time in the morning?
Probably midnight, 12:30, somewhere around there.
What the fuck? When do you go? What?
I sleep typically from 1 to 4. I don't sleep a lot.
So you went to the beach at midnight?
Yeah, I was there at midnight.
Okay, so you go to the beach at all times.
I'm there at 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes. I'm there at midnight sometimes.
So the guy wasn't dead. It was just
wasn't dead.
Drugs.
He got up, but he started growling at me and like running towards me. And I go, hey, beach access 29. It's right there. You should probably go to it. Because I was stone cold sober, and I'm not a fighter, but I'm not going to get my ass beat by some stoned guy.
Huh. Beckett, guy charges you at the beach. What do you do?
Put him down.
What's your move, Beckett? Do you have a defensive move?
Run.
Are you? Have you ever been in a fight in your life?
My lacrosse team got me in a couple brawls, but I was kind of the guy that looked like I was a part of it, so I get yelled at.
You're kind of like, fuck this shit. All right, I don't.
Yeah, I may have punched a guy in the back or something, like something stupid.
Look at you badass. I love it.
It was over a beer pong game. That's what the brawl was over in college. Of course, it was Florida State, but it was a brawl over a beer pong game.
That's pretty funny.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Ponton, number 3.
Number 3, I was actually running the beach one morning, and a boat had drifted ashore. Someone had floated in on a raft as well, and you could see it was kind of, the raft was makeshift, really just a blown up bubble, like a black.
A person was on it?
Yeah, someone had come up. DHS agents were coming around me, and I'm like, no, not me. I'm just a runner. And then they said, no, we're just looking for somebody that had dogs out there. It's pretty cool.
Is this Juneau?
Juneau, yeah. Jupiter Beach.
I think for example, if you go to the beach October 1st to October 31st, I think you're going to have at least 8 good stories.
So I've got 3 more, actually. One of them's pretty damn funny.
Okay, you're number 2.
The beach fuckers. And that's what we call them. There's some sex addicts that go to the beach a lot. There's a lot of recovery people that go to the beach, and they have their nice sunrises and whatnot. But pre-sunrise mornings, we've actually rewritten songs.
Gotcha.
For for them, and it's pretty funny because if you walk the beach ever 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, look up near the mangroves.
How many times have you seen them?
No
fuck?
less than 5.
Have you ever seen Doggy Style?
She's usually riding him reverse cowgirl, so they're looking so they can see who can see them.
I've seen 4 couples have sex at the beach, and it's always the woman riding the guy. I've never seen Doggy Style at the beach. Maybe because, I don't know, beach sand in the
Look
crack?
harder? I don't know.
I don't know. I just think beach sand, Dennys, in the butthole. No?
Butthole sand.
Beckett.
It's like a Soundgarden song.
Butthole sand in my butt. Are you a beach fucker?
No, I never really I dated a girl that was into the public thing. Like, the chance of getting caught seems to be a fetish. And, she's gorgeous, and so
of course, Beckett. No one thinks you're dating trolls.
She's
dog.
my girlfriend of like 2 years. She's my girlfriend of like 2 years, maybe longer, a little bit longer. And I can't get into it because I hate getting afraid of getting caught. So I'm not into it.
Vickie, with consent, may I ask you a beach question?
She needs another beer.
Are you a beach fucker?
No, I got to go with the sand thing.
Sand is rough. Look, I'm an animal. Forest, mud, beach, I don't know, snow, whatever you want, leaves. But I get it. It's not for everybody. That was number 2. Beach fuckers are number 2.
That's number 2.
And number 1.
The suicide victim.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
In that same area, though, I have been with multiple friends we hear and, that sixth sense, feel someone coming up behind you, and you can hear like shuffling in the sand, turn around, nobody there.
Do you know how? So if I took you to the Jupiter area, Juneau, you know exactly that spot.
100%.
You remember it?
100%.
Okay, we're gonna get into the Juneau stuff. Oh gosh, we're running out of time, man. So much fun. The first podcast, so much shit to talk about. Mr. Ponton, great job.
Thanks, brother.
If you get video or audio, always make sure to bring that in as well. If you find a dead body, record them not breathing.
Oh, okay. I won't do that.
That was a joke. Levity, baby. Dennys, come on back. If you don't mind, I want to get your opinion on something. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. Something called
Dennys Random Facts.
Oh, we're saving the best for last. Sweet Dennys, he gives us a ton of factoids, and he searches real hard for them.
All over.
Vickie, our educator, she grades him, and she's been known to be a bit of a dick when it comes to grading.
Especially with the sauce.
Rightfully so. She keeps him on his toes. Dennys, the floor is yours.
Yes, keeps me honest. I get it. There's a woman who can smell Parkinson's. I saw this on Reddit yesterday. She now helps scientists develop tests to detect it, and her detection is at a 95% accuracy.
See?
Damn!
Didn't even have to think about that.
Were you saying C as in yes or C as
C
in
is in
great?
C.
But so she smelled it on her husband 12 years before he was diagnosed, and he died from
Yeah,
it.
but a lot of people can't. There's a lot of people that claim that they can smell COVID, that they can get with somebody and be near them and smell COVID.
Do you believe that?
Yeah,
I think
it's
so
possible.
too. So she said that she noticed a distinct change in the smell of his skin around his shoulders.
Huh.
And she mentioned it for years, and he wouldn't go to the doctor, and then he did, and he got diagnosed, and then passed away.
I guess you're right. I mean, why would that be out of the realm that someone has an extra better sniffer than you? People can jump higher. Why can't people sniff harder?
Yeah, well, they had the COVID sniffing dogs as well. It must give off some sort of perfume.
I've never believed in the COVID sniffing dogs. I
You don't.
feel like it's
Pet
you,
psychics.
You could you're right. And I love animals and I love psychics. But yet I can't.
I've heard that about dogs with cancer.
You're right.
I've heard that.
You're right. So why, if they can smell cancer, why can't they smell COVID? Bird, be
Anything.
open-minded.
Well, so that also led me to see that Parkinson's is the #1 fastest growing disorder, a neurological disorder.
Parkinson's is the one when you start to shake.
Yeah, it was Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, they said it has increased. So from 1990 to 2015, the number of people has doubled to over 6 million. I just thought that was crazy.
We haven't had 90-year-olds that often, like, right? Like, supposedly the life expectancy recently, like, slightly dipped, but, like, people are living longer than ever, right? So we have a bulge in the garden hose with different generations living longer. So the longer you're on the planet, in theory,
Obviously, yes.
the more chances of negative things happening, whether it's cancer or anything like that. Plus, think about how many different things, like we've talked about on the podcast before, for a million years, there wasn't a lot of different changes.
Yeah, you're right.
Then the pulley happened, and the ramp, and the wheel, and then the microprocessors, and all that stuff.
Changed everything.
The last 10 years is totally different.
Could I throw just a little monkey wrench at your little theory there? Do we really know that nothing changed during those years? Do we really know that? Do we really know those answers when we're still finding ancient cities in the Amazon that they said, nope, there's nothing out there?
Bring up the ancient cities.
Well, I'm just saying, we always act like we know shit.
Yeah.
We can't even get it right in modern day times in front of our own eyes. We're supposed to accept what these old motherfuckers are talking about thousands of years ago. And I'm not saying that they're not right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying a lot of times we just accept shit. Oh yeah, they said it was that, and it's this.
You're 100% right. I would just say that it's an educated guess, and it's an educated guess in the fact that anthropologists have been like, okay, from year 2000 BC to 1000 BC, based on fossils and how we dig it up, people were living more or less the same. They hadn't domesticated horses. They were still using fires, like X, Y, and Z. So.
And don't get it twisted. I'm not one of those people that think nothing's real and we can't tell what happened in history. All I'm saying is the details, baby.
Oh, 100%.
The devil is in the details, and we don't know. We just don't know the details.
We don't know the
We really
details.
don't, and we think we do.
Yeah. But from vape pens to cell phones to TV to more pollution in the air, like it's things that most of our ancestors pretty certainly by fact didn't have carbon in the air.
They weren't vaping back in the
They didn't
caveman
have
time.
iPhones. Like we're pretty certain of those things, right? Like those are all different things. We don't know what the outcome is of on
How
that.
fucked
Yeah,
up would it
you're
be
right.
if we looked back, if we had the ability to go back in history and see legit footage, and we see these motherfucking cave people vaping with they're texting,
They're
they go,
scrolling Facebook.
holy shit, they had it, and then it was all gone.
Yeah.
Vickie, any chance that happened?
No.
No. I just thought it was weird. It was 1990 to 2015 that it doubled. It's like, what significant thing was it? Cell phones? Was that really maybe?
It's the chemicals.
Industrial
in our food.
Industrial Revolution.
That was always a part of history I perked up and listened to as a kid.
Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, it was interesting to me.
A lot of things changed.
Yeah, there was a point of change right there. We had, there's been a bunch.
Yeah, I would say from 1750 to about 1900. That's my favorite part of history, learning about it.
Yeah. So I have two periods. The Roman Empire was spanned a long period of time. I think 700 years or 700 some years.
Vast.
And World War II.
I love World War II.
World War II
Oh.
is fascinating.
I love World War I too. Vietnam also, I can get sucked in. Vickie, do you
Like
have a
war.
historical period? Like war. Do you have a historical period that you cut?
The early
I
1500s when Henry
remember.
VIII was
Henry
alive.
VIII. You are. She
Henry
loves
the-
Henry VIII.
Henry the Eighth. Oh
It's
yeah,
so
my
weird. That's who
yeah.
you connect with.
I know. I don't know why.
Dennys, go on. You
All
got,
right.
get the whole room chatting.
All right, let's see here. So back in the day, nuns such as Julian Norwick, who you can look up, would sometimes request to be bricked in for a time, and decades were not unusual, with young children under the age of 10. Such children could be orphans or gifts from parents to the church, but the idea is that child would serve as a symbol of innocence and purity, as well as a companion to the willingly immured. So the nuns and her companion would be bricked into a wall with one slit where they would be fed, and they would be encased in there for sometimes up to 8 years. And it was to create a perfectly innocent, blissful child.
Purity, my ass.
Nah, the
church.
child was messed up as hell.
Oh my gosh.
How do you go to the bathroom?
That nun was in the wall multiple times with different kids, raising them for, 5 to 8 years.
That's a horror movie waiting to be made.
Oh, Netflix is just so
Yeah.
wet to produce that.
Another brick in the wall with the intro song.
Yes. But yeah, what a weird ritual, right?
Horrible.
Dennys, I think you're in the fucking pocket.
That's terrible.
Taking 3 months off in the zone.
Get out of here.
It's
That's
like
an A.
He's been building.
Oh, you got an A. Yeah.
Nice.
He's been building up facts.
Dennys.
All downhill from here. Let's see. So we actually talk about this often, exposing yourself to nature and the importance of it. Well, in a study published this month, they have quantified how much time you should spend in nature a day to reduce stress in your life. So if anyone's stressed out, the number is 60 minutes. If you spend 60 minutes in nature, the activity in the brain regions that are involved in stress production decrease. In a recent study, they showed that people who live in city environments are at higher risk for developing mental disorders when compared to people who live in rural environments. They did a study on it. And what they noticed was the difference in the size of the amygdala, which is what's responsible in your brain for the perception of emotions of anger, fear, sadness, and controlling your aggression. They noticed that city environments had a smaller amygdala, and it caused them to not handle stressful situations as well as people with larger. So it's kind of like one of those studies where you don't even realize something's affecting you, but they noticed that people in urban environments tend to have more risk for psychological disorders.
Oh, yeah. I believe that big time. And when you say something like they expose themselves in nature, I'm picturing some guy taking his dick out to a tree. Look at my dick.
Like wagging
Look
it.
at my dick. Tree.
Perennial sunbathing.
60 minutes. If you can get outside for 60 minutes a day, it'll reduce the stress in your life.
Oh, I'm a big believer that we are not going outside. And now, I think people get it twisted when I say you have to go outside. They think you have to go camping or go exercising and running. No. What I'm saying is you shouldn't be in four walls all fucking day long. Go out and take a walk. Look at nature. Look at the sun. Don't stare at it, of course.
Yeah.
Don't stare.
Well, if you're going to lay, just go lay outside. Get
Just
60
go outside.
minutes in.
Look at a fucking bush. Any kind of bush.
You can do that from your computer.
Stay on your property.
That's the problem. Too many people are looking at indoor bushes and they need to be outside looking at outdoor bushes.
Yes.
I'm guilty of
The
it.
kind you need to water.
Well, we got all our creature
Well,
comforts
again,
inside.
Becky, you're getting even dirtier. sorry, Denny.
I'm just saying, spend more time
You're getting
outside.
people talking, thinking, and I like that.
Well,
Give us one more. End this shit on a real powerful one. Vickie, great.
That last one, I got to go with B, since, B for Bush, since you talked about it so much.
I love it. That's great. I might have done this one before. I don't think I have, but if I hadn't, I thought it was pretty cool at the minimum, I guess. Every time you remember, this is what we were talking about before earlier, Bird. Every time you remember an event from the past, your brain re-networks how that memory is recalled, thus changing it slightly. So every time you remember a memory, it actually degrades that memory every single time. Therefore, your childhood memories that we cherish are actually distorted versions from what actually happened.
And what about the ones we hate?
They get distorted as well, dog.
I just
Some get
know
regressed
there's
with
people in my personal life where I've seen the same exact thing that
Oh, I have that too.
they've seen, and I I'm so baffled and confused by their distorted view on what really happened.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of these people that can't accept the truth if something's so fucked up. It's just amazing that people give you an encounter of something that you saw and go, that is not at all what the fuck it never happened that way.
Well, it's a problem when you have a conversation with someone trying to have civil discourse about geopolitics or whatever. They didn't witness
Every day.
Just, maybe geopolitics.
I was just talking to Virginia about fucking NATO.
It's funny, I just got off the phone with my dad.
and with that, you're like, how do you believe that? Like, how do you believe that at all? And they didn't witness it, whatever. And I've had the same thing. I have some of my best friends, great guys, smart guys. I had that same experience. A lot of those stories are self-deprecating stories about me. As the years progress on, the story gets like all of a sudden I did something way worse.
And
wait, I was there.
And if anybody knows that story better than anybody, it's going to be you.
Yeah, and
brother, you're talking to the person of Bird did this and then he ate a goat's neck. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, you weirdo?
Exactly. And to Dennys' point, it's not that we only experienced the story together. I heard him retell it when we got back from the trip. I heard him retell it a year later.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, 5 years later, like, dude, this is a fish story. Like, it just keeps on getting bigger. It's crazy to me.
It's annoying. And I've gone through it many a times in my life. And it blows my fucking mind when somebody distorts the truth.
Yeah.
That you go, and a lot of times they're fucked up.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are so fucked up, and then they're talking about, oh, this happened. You motherfucker, you were saying triple. What are you talking about?
Exactly. And it's not like it's like a little mishap on what the actual version of the truth was. Like maybe a crossing guard came and talked to us, and then it became 1 cop in year 1, then it was 3 cops. By the time year 5 comes around, it was like 10 state troopers.
Oh, dude, it's one of the biggest pet peeves I have walking this planet.
Oh, that's crazy. And it almost sounds like they actually believe it. That's the other problem.
But I also think that they don't. Look, a big fish tail story. Oh my gosh, it's the equivalent of getting likes and shares. More people are in. Beckett's. He's 69 a manatee. Are you fucking kidding me?
It's mental Photoshop, is what it is, right? Like how like someone will give themselves like an edit before they post it or whatever.
Speaking of Photoshop, if somebody can get Beckett 69ing a manatee.
Oh, that'd be so hot.
Sea cow?
The sea cow, yes.
If you're going to do that too, make sure that I'm watching.
Out and out brown cow.
Vickie, I do want to talk about I want to end the podcast with psychic readings.
Okay, I am currently running a special. A lot of people are taking advantage. If you book a 15-minute reading on a Monday between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., 15 minutes is only $20. Next Monday is already all booked up, but I could do after next Monday. And I just want to do a personal shout-out. I have a dear friend of mine who is an artist, and I mean an incredible artist. For my birthday, she finally made my charcoal of Prince, some of you saw it on Facebook. It is incredible. So I want to give my friend Araceli a shout out for my Prince present.
We love Araceli. Never met her and I love her.
Yeah,
that's great.
Your wife is in the chat room and she does bring up a very good point.
She's talking trash.
To go back to what we were just talking about people who distort the truth, and she does have a good point. But I think it's just that's the way it is on either side. That's what makes all of this difficult. Jen goes, what if the ones who remember it correctly, what if they are the ones remembering it correctly and you're the one who's big fishing?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It is.
Every time you guys recall those memories, it gets distorted slightly.
Yeah. But
on
then,
both ends.
But then there's people who see something where everybody objectively can go, that person stabbed that person.
Well, I mean, yeah.
And then someone will go, yeah, but my truth, Beckett, is that I didn't stab that person. The whole my truth, as soon as someone says my truth, it makes me go ahead and say, well, this is distorted. I want the fucking facts.
Yeah.
Well, what's scary about that fact is look at trials
Yeah.
where they've called witnesses way after the fact,
That's
where
a good
they've
point.
had all that time to distort their memory.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a good point.
That's scary.
That's a good point.
It's all-
Vickie, you know
it's
what?
just a bummer our brains don't work as well as we always, hope they do.
You want to go more? Because
No.
I feel like keep going.
Speaking of that, no, let's let's wrap this video.
Y'all, I want to say thank you to everybody who turned into the Weird One Ever podcast. We're back, baby.
We're back.
We're going to be back to at least Thanksgiving doing a podcast every single week. We do want to do a road trip. I know we've been talking about that. I think I have the right one where we all could be involved in, and it's in Florida. It's about 2 hours away.
Nice.
It's that weird, remember we talked about it on the podcast after the show where it was an odd, old theme park, and it was
Yes.
it's supposed to be haunted. I think it's only 3 hours away. It would be great to get some weirdos to go with us. I have an RV we can do now.
Let's do it. I got the Airstream online too.
Look
now.
at this
Yeah,
shit.
look at that.
Yeah.
We're back, baby.
Kismet.
We're having fun. You weirdos are great. Don't forget too, I want to play local music. Just because this is the first one, I haven't had time to I don't even know what I have. If you have somebody locally that writes music, send it in. We're going to end the podcast with local music. We don't have anything tonight, but next week we will. Send your shit in. We love you all, and
Bigfoot is real.
What's that sound? It's aliens and they're living in your town. They have arrived. They're all around. So many aliens living in your town. Are you scared of aliens? Well, you should be, 'cause aliens wanna